today we're going to be drawing this little set square here. So this is a 45-degree set square. We're going to be working through the drawing by starting with things like the outside shape. So as you can see, it's a basic triangle. We're then going to be looking at putting all the increments in. Now I've got all the measurements for the increments just up here. As you can see, we're looking at, for the small ones, 0.25 by 5 millimeters. So we're going to draw these as rectangles. Now the reason we're going to do that is because we're going to be using these items here, or this section, to be engraved on a laser. So in order to do that, we need closed polylines, which is why we're using rectangles. We're also going to make sure that all the outlines and this section just in here are closed polylines as well, because we will be sending them through to the laser for cutting. First thing we need to look at is the size of this. So we're looking at 200 by 200, and obviously this is going to be a 40-degree angle. So there's a number of ways we can look at drawing this. I'm just going to pop straight over into AutoCAD and let's get started. So start with a line, and if I click and pull down, you'll notice I have ortho on. So just down in this bottom corner here, ortho, F8 is the quick key that toggles that on and off. I'm just going to pull straight down and type in 200 and followed by enter. Then moving to the right, I do the same thing, 200, enter, and then using the close option just down in the command line here, I click on that. Now that's drawn my shape. Now the thing you will see or notice is that these are individual objects. Okay. Now one of the ways we can convert these to a polyline after selecting, and we can either do the tool before or after, but we can click on the modify pull down, and you'll just see these two arrows that are facing each other. This is the join tool. So if I select that, you'll see down in the command line it says 3 objects converted to 1 polyline. You'll find if you move over that and select it, it is now 1 object. Okay, now we have our outline. Very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change color just so it stands out from what the rest of the drawing is that we're doing. So I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to choose a color just that's easy to see. So I've made that cyan. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop back to the original drawing, which is this one here, and you can see this little note. It says 40 millimeter offset outside all the way around. So from there to there, there to there, and from this point down is 40 millimeters all the way around. And you'll also notice that we have a radius, so R meaning radius, of 10, TYP meaning typical. So these radii here aren't dimensioned, which means they are the same. So I'm just going to pop back to my drawing. And the way we're going to do that, we're not going to worry about drawing another triangle inside of this. We're just going to use this little tool up here called offset. So if I click on that, you can use the quick key O and enter. That will do the same thing. And the very first thing we need to look at is it's saying, I'm just going to pull this up a touch. It's just saying specify offset distance. So it wants to know how much do you want to offset by. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in 40 and enter. It will now say select object to offset. So you're going to click on the object, and you'll see if you move your mouse inwards, it offsets 40 mil all the way around. Because it's a polyline, it will automatically resize it. If I move outwards, I get it 40 mil bigger all the way around. So I'm just going to pop back inside and single left click and enter to finish the command. So there we have now our inside triangle. We can check to make sure that we've got the 40 millimeters in there by using the distance tool. So you can type DI if you like in the quick keys, or we can come up here and just click on distance, and I'm going to select, say, the midpoint to perpendicular, and straight away you can see the distance there is 40. Okay. All right, so I'm happy with that. The next step is to put the radii in these corners. Now we know based on our drawing that radius was 10. So clicking up back to where our chamfer tool is, we're going to click the pull down and choose fillet. First thing again, looking down in the command line, you can see our current radius is set to 0. So we need to change that by clicking on the radius option or typing in R and enter. Specifying fillet radius, we're going to put 10 and enter. Okay, so the radius is now set to 10. The next thing you want to do is ask yourself, do I want to fillet every single corner of this object? And in this case, the answer is yes. The next thing we need to know is this a polyline? And obviously, because this was a polyline and we've offset it in, this is also a polyline. So knowing that, we can come down and click on the polyline option. This is just going to save us from having to fillet each corner. It will do it all automatically. So I click on polyline, it says select the 2D polyline. So I click on that and bang, there we go. Now, I want this to be an internal cut. I want that to be an external cut. So on the laser, I'm going to set different colors. So these come through as different layers. That way, if I need to tell the software to cut one layer before the other, we can do that quite easily. So I'm going to make that green. Okay. All right. So there's our basic shape. The next thing we need to look at are these little increments here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with one increment right on 0, and we're going to draw one of these little rectangles, as you can see, 0.25 by 5, and we're going to put the midpoint of the bottom right on the 0 point there, so right on that corner. Right. So jumping back into CAD, we start by using the rectangle tool. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in down here. Now I'm just going to draw it anywhere at this stage. And I'm going to use the measurements of 0.25 and 5. Okay, so that's going to give me my little rectangle. Before I go any further, I am going to change the color. Now this is going to be different again because we're going to use this one for engraving. Okay, so once we've got that in place, what we're going to do is click on the move tool just up here. So move. Select the object, enter, and making sure all your O snaps are on. So the little O snap button down here, you can see we want all of these ones on. Okay, now I want you to leave nearest off at this stage. Okay, but we do want to make sure they're all down to at least tangent. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom in. Make sure you zoom in. Okay, don't try and select your midpoint from all the way back out here. As you can see, it's quite hard. So always zoom in by rolling the scroll wheel forward. Select the midpoint by clicking, zoom back out, and then we're going to move down. Now, one thing I will mention at this stage, I've still got ortho on, and you can see as I'm moving down here, and I want to click down here, it looks like my item is just going to move straight to the left and stay up at that height, but it actually won't because I'm specifying the endpoint. I'm moving it from the midpoint to the endpoint, so it will put it on the endpoint. So I'm just going to left click there, and as you can see, it's dropped down. Now the next thing is we need to make copies of this. So we want 10 of them out over here, but we've got to take into consideration this is 0, so we actually need 11, and they're all going to be 1 millimeter apart. Now the easiest way of doing this, we could go through array, we could just copy 10 times and all that sort of stuff, but under the copy tool you'll find there's a handy little tool, or it's an option called array. So I'm going to click on copy just up here. So CO or CP is the quick key. I'm going to select my object, press enter. Now it's going to ask for the base point. So this is where do you want to copy it from. Now because I'm just copying straight in a line and I've got ortho on, my base point can really be anywhere because I know the distance that I'm moving. So I'm just going to click out here somewhere away from everything. And as you can see, I can copy it and move it in the distance I want to go and the direction. Now before we're going to do that, we're going to use the array option just down in the command line here. So I click array, and then what I'm going to do is where it asks for the number of items, we need 11 because we've got to remember 0 is also counted. So 11, enter, and as you can see, if I pull my mouse out, I can adjust that. Now it wants to know the distance between each one. So I'm just going to type in 1 for this. Now if you don't know the distance between, but you know the distance in total, you can use the fit option. That's something we'll look at a bit later on. So just moving in the direction, type in 1 and enter. Enter again to finish. You'll now see that we have our 10 increments. Okay, they're all the same size. We don't need 0 anymore, so I'm going to select that and click on erase. And there we have it. Now popping back to our sketch or our drawing, you'll see every fifth increment is 7.5 mil high, and every 10th one is going to be 10 mil high. Now we're going to do that by using the stretch tool, or we can stretch with grips. Probably at this stage it would be easier for you just to stretch with grips. Now I'm going to show you different ways of doing it, and it's up to you how you want to have a go. But the stretch tool will be quite invaluable later on. So from this stage, we know this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the one we want. So I'm going to select it. Zooming in again, we're going to select the mid grip. And with ortho on, we're just going to move up and type in 2.5. Okay. Zooming back out, press escape. It's that easy. Okay. The other way we can do this is by using the stretch tool. So you'll see up here, I'm going to click on stretch. And with the stretch tool, this works slightly different. What you're going to have to do is draw a window over the section you want to stretch. Now the way the stretch tool works is anything that is entirely inside the box, so in this case just the horizontal top line, will move. Anything that is inside and outside the box, so in this case both the vertical lines, they will actually stretch, so they'll change shape. So I'm going to click there, press enter. Now it's going to ask for the base point. Again, because I'm using ortho, I'm going to click anywhere, and then I just move in the direction, type in the distance. In this case, we need to go 5. Okay, zooming back out, and there's your increments. So as you can see, it was probably much easier just to use your grips. With ortho, you can click on the center grip, pull it up, type in the distance. Whereas this one, there was a lot more work involved using the stretch tool. However, you'll find once you get used to that, it's actually fairly easy. The next step, looking at the drawing, we need to put these numbers in there. Okay, so we're going to start off by putting some basic text in there, and then we're going to use our copy array tool again to do all the increments. Okay, so up here, what we're going to do is we're going to use the default settings. Okay, later on we're going to click onto annotation, and we're going to come in here and have a look at all these. Now I'm just going to change mine over to the default settings, which is going to be that one. Okay, you can ignore this section at this stage. And all I want you to do is come and click on the A up the top there. Okay, so this is going to be doing multi-line text. Now with this, what you're going to do is just draw a window. Now you can put this anywhere at this stage, so you can just draw a window like that. Okay, and then you're going to type in 10. Okay, I'll explain all the text in a later tutorial. Once I've done that, I'm going to select the text, come up to justification, and choose middle center. Okay, click outside of it, and then select it. You'll see there's a grip just here, and that's the middle center. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to place it on the midpoint of that top line. I'm then going to select it and move straight up. In this case, we're going to go up 2.5. Okay, so there is our text in place. Now the next step is to take all of this, and we're going to use the copy array tool again. Okay, so up under copy. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm just going to change the color of the text, because that's going to be engraved as well, so we'll make that magenta. Using the copy tool, this time I'm going to select all of it. Notice I'm using the blue window rather than individually selecting all the green window. Okay, right click, and now for the base point of displacement, I'm going to select our 0 point. I'm then going to use the array option, and in this case I'm going to put in 19. Okay, and as for the distance across, we're going to type in 10. Enter, enter, and there we go. Now what I'm going to do, just panning over to this side, I'm just going to delete this last increment here, or if you like, we can actually just stretch that one down 5. Okay, so we'll go down 5. That way that's our last increment, and we can delete this one here. Okay, so there we have it. There is all of our increments along the bottom. Now the last step we're going to do in this version of the tutorial is we're just going to auto number all of these. So we're going to go and make them into the order that we want. After that, next tutorial we'll go through and we'll put in all the circles and bits and pieces. Cool. Alright, so moving on, we're going to do this next step. We're going to use the Express tools. So we click on Express tool. Just under here you'll see auto number. Okay, so I'm selecting that and looking down here, selecting objects. I'm just going to do a blue window again over all the text. Now, really, you could go over the whole lot. It doesn't matter. It's only going to select the text. I'm then pressing Enter. Now, looking at this, I want to choose the X axis. Okay, so that's the order that we're selecting in. So it's going to go along the X direction. That's from here to the right. So I select X. Now, next, it's asking for the starting number, so the starting number and the increment. So in this case, the starting number is going to be 10, so 10, comma, and the increment we want to go up in is 10 units. So I'll put in 10 there. Enter. And then here we're going to overwrite, because we want to overwrite the existing one. So I'll click on that, and as you can see, that auto numbers it all. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that for this tutorial. So as I was saying, the next tutorial we'll go through and we'll put in all of these circles with all the increments and bits and pieces, and then we'll look at how we can convert the text, which is a vector, into actually vector lines, so outlines like this, okay? Because our laser software won't read the text, so when you bring it in, it's just going to be blank. All right, thanks for watching.